my grand smoking. So didn't I? Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Looks great. All right, we'll have roll call. Thank you. Oh, let me put you on. You didn't know.
Ready? Yes. Parker,
Here.
Balich,
My husband went in on his.
Berkowitz. Dean Schlotman. Freeman. Mueller.
Here.
Pretzel.
Here.
Richmond. Trinier. Van Dyne.
Here.
Williams. Ogalla.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Yeah. Okay, first thing on our agenda is approval of minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the executive committee meeting from July 11th.
I'll move.
Van Dyne, second. I didn't hear. Julie? All right. Any conversation? Can I get a roll call, please?
I'm adding Jim to the,
Oh, sorry. Yes, no problem.
Parker,
Yes.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Freeman. Mueller,
Yes.
Pretzel,
Yes.
Richmond. Trinier,
Yes.
Van Dyne,
Yes.
Williams. Ogalla.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, next we move on to old business. So you have your FEMA support documents, allocations to date, resolutions, and allocations. So that's number 1 and 2 under old business. Next we have, and I see Mike is ready. You want to press that button, Mike? Okay, next we have the Capitol building and building supplies update.
Perfect. And so if you want to pull up that PowerPoint, we can run through it here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So just the second slide on this, if you would, thank you. So as we know, the Community Health Center flooring and painting has been complete. The parking lots were done. Our AV equipment and the chairs in the boardroom are complete. The county office building general improvements. The dock repair in the back, we had final walkthrough, what is today, Thursday, on Tuesday, I believe. They will be starting next week on that project. We have it pegged at about $80,000. I think it's just shy of there as to where we'll be. And then there's going to be some masonry work once that is done on that knee wall. And I don't want to give you, I think it'll be 20 to 30,000 on that. I don't have an
Separate,
exact
two
number.
separate.
Yep.
Well, it's good because I know that area needs improvement for
Yep.
sure.
And so I don't know if you've been down there recently, but we were using some good timing to do it, but we were using some foam to keep some water intrusion out of the masonry work down there. So we'll be starting that shortly. The records management building roof, that is completed at 32,000. And then I have a number for you for 304 North Scott Street,
Okay.
which is the old CAC building. It's now our facilities center. And so we were at 93,632 and 63 cents on that one. And that was to move we upgraded the space a little bit. We recycled a lot of furniture. The old boardroom chairs are now over there. There's an old conference table over there, but we had some furniture things. We had to upgrade some locks and security systems there that were kind of going bad. And then just some general cleaning maintenance, HVAC systems, things like that. And then I know because you guys will probably have seen this, and so I don't have an answer for you yet, but I'm going to get ahead of the question. There was a tree that fell down in that parking lot there. It fell over on the fence, which is owned by a private citizen. And so we were kind of working through, because it was technically our tree, fell on that fence. So we're just working through that. But it's about 60 feet of fence, I believe, that'll need to be replaced or repaired. It was, for the Scott Street, that would be 93,632 and 63 cents.
So a question, Mike.
Certain.
So for the tree, does insurance cover that at all?
We got to work through it.
Okay. And then.
And so there was some parking lot damage with the tree roots
Oh,
falling
true.
up. So it's going to be a process, but,
Right. It's okay.
and that's something that it was due to the storm. So there's going to be a FEMA potential reimbursement on that too.
Right. There's,
So-
I know that
So, but I
Once
just
it's been collected.
figured everybody has either saw the tree fall down a couple weeks ago or has seen the fence since. So I thought I'd let you know.
I think we were lucky that that was all the damage that we did see.
There was a lot of tree and limb issues, especially around this building. We were very fortunate to keep power in this building, but it was a long week, to
Yeah.
say the least, of
Yeah.
getting everything back on in the county and
Absolutely.
not just the county buildings, but our EMA department coordinates everything for the county. So
Mhm.
nursing homes, cooling shelters, things like that. It was a very long week.
Is there any intent of putting anyone else in the CAC? I know that there's a few people for the space.
There might be 2 or 3 cubicles that are available in there. So short answer, no, not at this moment in time, but it's space that could be available at some point in time.
Okay, okay. And I'd like to go see it.
Yeah, that would be great. And I'm going to wait on that just because they're doing something that I think is kind of cool, where we had a hodgepodge of county historical artifacts
Oh, maybe they'll
sitting in closets throughout random buildings. And so they're kind of centralizing the location on some of it. So
Okay. Well, let us know when that's
I
done,
will.
and then I don't know, we can send an email if anybody else would like to go over
Certainly.
and see it, then we could do that, so. Okay, and then the bathrooms?
The bathrooms, I don't know if I think it was it might have been the board meeting 2 weeks ago. We had some people out here to kind of measure and begin a scope process on that. And so those will be, I believe an RFP will be going out in the next week or so on
Okay, we're
that.
gonna do an RFP, because it's a significant amount of money
Yeah, I think it'll be an RFP in the next week or so.
this week. Okay, great, thanks for that. Moving on to number 4, Mike, I'll keep up with you so that you do notes like
Sure.
I do. This is for ICT, we entered in a contract, how's that going?
So far, it is going wonderful. I am happy to report that they were able to launch a survey on the county websites. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you go to
You have, because I went on and it asked. me a
yeah,
bunch of
and so
questions.
it's really interesting, and it kind of goes through and asks users what they're using the website for, how easy their experience was, were they able to find what they're looking for. I recommend that you go through it. I know Leader Trenier and I often have many phone calls as to where can you find this on the website, and so and the answer often is it's very difficult. So go through that, play around on the website. Feel free to fill out the survey. As of yesterday, we had 110 survey responses on the main county website. And then the circuit clerk had 144, the recorder had 15. So we're closing in on, we're over 250 as of right now, just for those 3. And so I don't have numbers for everyone else yet, but I just wanted to give you an update that people are taking the survey, people are using our website, and people are providing us meaningful feedback.
Yeah, that's good because I was looking, somebody asked me a question about ARPA dollars. I couldn't find it. I did a search and I found it, but if you didn't know it was
If you didn't know where
there,
you're looking for,
Yeah,
Google's easier to find it than our own webpage. So yes.
right, so that's good, because I didn't answer a bunch of those I was on recently. Okay, I have a couple comments. So we have Julie and, yeah, it'll come up that way. So we have Julie, go ahead.
Thank you, Judy. So Mike, I've been last week on the website many times, but I've never seen the prompt for the survey. I'd like to participate in it. So is there a link you
No.
can send us?
You play around on the website and it will pop up in the bottom right-hand corner. And
Right.
sometimes if you have a browser that prevents a pop-up or something like that, or if you're just on your phone, sometimes it'll come up, sometimes it won't. So just play around with it, but I'll have them send you over what the survey looks like.
Okay, thank you.
So Julie, when you're, like, I went online because you asked me about that ARPA, I did that and it pops up, it just pops up.
Mine just popped up while it's sitting there. That was my question.
Didn't pop
Yeah,
up for you?
When they first installed it, I had to go to like 2 different pages or 3 different pages before they asked me, did you find what you are looking for?
All right, maybe you can find that, maybe they
Yeah.
can do it a little.
Yeah, I will make sure that that gets sent over.
Yeah, see that, and then maybe we can say, well, maybe not 2 pages, because sometimes you don't even know where to go.
And so also this team has been sitting down, starting with departments to go through in-depth interviews to see what customer service aspects of the county people would like to see on the website that would help out the efficiency of county government. So we are well started with this project, but the early results on surveys is very promising.
Oh, yep, okay, so we have next, oh, everyone turned off their mics. Okay, all right, If there's nothing else there, I'll move on to number 5, which is the software for HR.
Sure. As you know, we have a preferred vendor picked out on this one. We are going through a contract negotiation period, and for those who weren't here, this process was done a few years back, and eventually the RFP didn't get to where people wanted it to go. And so we are making sure, working with the state's attorney's office, that the scope of work is exactly what we want as the county. We have 2,300 employees that we are running payroll for on a weekly basis. And so we want to make sure that everything with this, that there's no confusion at any point in time. So it's taking a little longer than I think many of us in the county would like, but we are going back and forth with this vendor. And our last meeting was yesterday. Our next meeting is scheduled for next week.
When will you be able to tell us who the vendor is?
I would hope that I would hope by next week or the following week that we will have everything buttoned up on it.
Can you send an email to staff and then they can let us know?
Yep.
And I'm happy to hear that because I know it's a very complicated system to handle all our different union contracts and everything like that. And I feel definitely the last time it was done it was not complete enough, and that's why we had the issues with it. So I'm glad to hear
Will do.
it should take time. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I would like to thank our partners in the state's attorney's office. They have been fantastic to work with on this, and they have, made sure that we have the information that we need legally to make sure that the county's protected and our HR department's doing the right thing. So
Okay. Any questions? No one has any. All right. Number 6, that's completed. Number 7 is also completed. Number 8.
8, we have a group out of Arizona that is coming in for best practices on our county finances. And they began interviews last week. So they were in town last week. And so they will be meeting with departments about, how they process things, meeting with elected officials. And so the first feedback has been very positive. It's early in the process. They just got into place.
Oh, what's their name?
It is, I will have to send it to you. It's like 65th Street Group or something.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah,
Send that to
I
staff
will-
and then
I
they'll,
will get you the name. I shouldn't have said it because I think it's 65th Street something.
that's okay. Close enough for now. And then just get us that information. People can look
Yeah.
online and see what they're all about. And then, I guess the only other thing is best practices, if you can delineate for us what they're each thing.
Yeah,
that they're
and once
looking
we start
for.
going through this, it is our intent that they're going to have a meeting with the finance committee and maybe even the larger county board as to what financial details that you think would be helpful, and to make sure that everything that you are requesting is easily accessible.
Thank you. Okay. I see no questions. So I'll move on to update on 9 Osgood Street.
9 Osgood Street is the Pace Building. We have begun discussions with Joliet on a negotiation for space there. Unfortunately, one of our meetings was scheduled during Storm Week, and so that got canceled. But we'll be sitting down next week to start hashing through some things.
I mean, because you guys have been on this for a really long time.
Yeah, and that is true, and it takes some time to get some out-of-state people in to look at the property for them, some consultants that they wanted to take a look at, or to have take a look at it. So it's been,
Joliet wanted out-of-state consultants, but like for what?
there are some people in the automotive space that are experts in the field at scheduling.
And then additionally with that, how about, what are we looking at? So that's one part of the project, right? What about the rest of the building? I mean, it's been forever since Sherry and Jackie and I walked through the building with you.
I will have a full update for you as soon as next week, if not the following week on that.
Again, please email that to Kim and Kim can then disperse it to the rest of us. Okay, Julie, I think Julie's on next. Yeah, Julie, go ahead.
So Mike, how much of that building on Osgood do you anticipate will be used by organizations outside of Will County, our county operation?
Give me 2 weeks on that and I will have a direct answer.
And does it include other people other than the city of Joliet?
At this point in time, our negotiations are just with the city of Joliet.
Okay, how are you determining what they will pay the county for expenses? Because this is a Will County taxpayer funded building. It's on the burden
Sure.
of the taxpayer for Will County, and these people they don't all live in Joliet. So I want to make sure that like Bolingbrook, Naperville, New Lenox, we're not subsidizing other governments because our taxpayers are struggling as it is.
Agreed.
My Will County tax levy is now the second highest on my tax bill, underneath the school district. And that's shocking. So, I mean, my concern is what is this going to cost the taxpayer? So, when can you get us?
2 weeks. I think 2 weeks
You'll
would be
able to
appropriate.
Tell us how you're figuring out
Yep.
the cost.
Correct.
So I know when we go to rent a property, we're given a cost. You need to lease this property and this is the cost. And we need that transparency. We need to be able to tell our taxpayers who's paying the cost and what is the cost.
And that's what we're working through. So I don't want to say anything publicly that I would later regret. So
And Mike, like I said, Sherry and Jackie and I had the opportunity to walk through. Would there be a time that we could set up that if any other board members wanted to see, I called the bowling alley, we said skating rink, we had so many,
yes,
Different
that we
things.
would have to rent skates for it. But
right?
Yes, I'd be
Things-
willing to do
You could
that.
skate from here to there and then all around inside.
Skates, I don't need to be glad to bring them.
All right, well, let's look at doing that. Yeah, I
Let's
see you,
Put that
Jack.
on the list.
Okay, Jackie?
Yeah, just a question for Board Member Berkowitz. Are you in unincorporated Will County?
No.
Yeah. You live in the city limits of Naperville, or are you unincorporated? No, you personally.
Me, my
Mhm.
residence is you personally.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
I don't know what that question was for, but okay, we'll move on from there. Next, one of our other favorite projects.
I have good news to report on this
Just
one.
some good news. I'm happy to hear that, Mike. Go
So,
ahead.
working with county board and county board staff, we have identified a little pool of money to begin engineering on this project. We had a walkthrough scheduled for Copperfield the day following our tornado going through the county, but we were able to quickly reschedule. It happened on Tuesday of last week.
Okay,
And so we had 13 firms that were interested and participated. And so we are expecting, we'll get some preliminary questions back, but sometime later this month, we will have some proposals to start looking at.
oh, so 13 firms, meaning
13
interested in
yes.
doing the work.
Yes, that showed up. It's a unique building, obviously. So we had 13 firms show up. We do a walkthrough for them so they can get a lay of the land, see what they think of the engineering, the mechanicals inside, the space and how it's laid out and the preservation of the space. And obviously that building's been vacant for an extended period of time. And so there's going to be necessary renovations to, as they call it in the facilities department, the envelope of the building just to get it up to speed. But then also what mechanicals will need to be replaced? How does the elevator system look? What would you need for a layout when we're working with what the VAC wants? So those are all things that are going to have to be taken under consideration, but we had a really good turnout for it. And I think it's a real testament to our facilities department of crafting a thoughtful proposal that people are excited to participate with the county.
So you put an RFP out and that drew the attention to it? Okay, through the RFP. That's good. 13 is a really,
It was a
big
very high
number.
number.
yeah. And as far as that, so I know that's one thing, and besides doing the VAC there, that's a definite. There's a couple others. How are we on that as far as who might be interested in?
Yeah, and I think it's going to
going?
be a little bit of a cart and a horse situation where we have to see what the cost of this building is going to be for the envelope and the mechanicals and the VAC and kind of piece out what we're going to need to put in that space and make it financially viable or financially worthwhile to the taxpayers in the county. And so one thing that our office is looking at is the ROE space. I think it would fit great over there. And then Joliet has some interest in some administrative capacities over there as well.
Yeah, I've heard about that Joliet Fire. Okay. Okay, I don't see any other questions there, but stay there. So moving on from that, I go to other old business. So my other old business question is, Where are we on the RFP that was voted on in March, signed by the executive in April for a feasibility study?
The business needs study, and just to give everyone a refresher on this one, signed. And then the capital improvements committee was looking at pulling back that RFP. It never happened. So that being said, we are currently in the drafting stages of that. I would expect that we will have something ready to go within the next 30 days on it. And that will have to, there'll be some state's attorney review on that, just with the kind of the RFP out there, the plan on pulling it back, having some people into the capital improvements committee. I want to make sure that we are all buttoned up on that and protecting the interests of the county.
Oh, I don't know what you mean by that.
Capital improvements committee talked to a specific vendor and was looking at moving forward with that vendor after the RFP request was put in place. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page moving forward on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we went out for RFP, requested that, it got signed. That happened, like I said, in April. Then there was the delay. I know there was some conversation, but through conversation, everyone felt to be right and fair that we should go out for an RFP to see that, just to make sure that, like, you had 13 vendors come out, 13 different
Correct,
groups
yep.
for this. That's fabulous. And sometimes changing up who you work with is a good thing because you get a lot of new ideas. Same thing with new board members. They bring new ideas to the table. It's always a good thing to have. So,
Yeah, and I think it was either May or June, the capital improvements committee then voted to rescind the RFP. Then the following month, that
so they
rescission.
talked about rescinding it, but they never did rescind it.
Correct. And yeah, so there was just
So
some
nobody
confusion on it. So-
rescinded it. Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we are all clear with the state's attorney on this one. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a process, but you want to make sure that we are covered in every which way on this one. So,
Yeah. I mean, if a committee talks to somebody, but no decision was made, just a conversation, I can have a conversation. I do often with many people. So, Okay, I expect that in 30, I see your light. Hang on a second. I expect that in 30 days or prior to 30 days, we'll have an answer on this because this is something we need to do to move forward.
Correct.
Like especially with pace and determine who we need to put in there and other movements around there. So, all right, I always see your lights go on, guys. So just give me a second. All right, Julie, go ahead.
Mike, you mentioned that the capital committee referred a certain vendor. Who are you referring to? Who was that vendor?
I believe it to be White and Company was the one who appeared before the capital. You're on the capital improvements, correct? I think it was
Right.
White and Company
Okay,
who
so
appeared
you're
before you.
referring to White.
Yeah.
All right, so it's just going right to White.
No. Then you voted for that in 1 month or talked about doing
We
that in
talked
1 month.
about it.
And then in the
Mhm.
next
So-
month, you said no to that. So,
Okay.
Sorry. I gotta
Uh,
We did. Oh, sorry.
I gotta turn you on, Meta. That's all. Now you're on.
Okay.
You weren't on.
We did vote to go out for RFP. That is correct. And then there was conversation about how we were going to pay for that and where that money was going to come from. And that takes a few weeks. And then we had a meeting where we all had Jason come and talk, which actually Judy and I met with him privately before that. And we had indicated to him that we did like what they were doing and could he come talk to us? And so he did, and we came and talked. And those of us on the committee said, gosh, we kind of like what he talked about. Maybe we should move forward with him. I then said, how do we do that? Kim and I don't remember who else, that did not go right in that meeting, how we voted for it. So I was told we had to bring it to our next meeting to vote to rescind it. So I went into that meeting thinking that I had the agreement from the chair because of our previous conversations with Mr. Dwyer and the previous capital committee meeting. Okay. So then we got to the meeting where we voted to rescind it and send it to the full board. And it was shot down by everyone on the committee except for, I think, I don't know, 2 people to rescind that after we had just spent the previous month talking about doing that. So something changed in that month. And now we have to send it back out for RFP. That's where we're at with it.
So as did something change from the fact that we passed the motion to go out for an RFP in April. It was signed by the county executive and returned to us in May. Oh, March, we approved the resolution in April, and then something changed. Then something changed that came forward. They were going to go with possibly go with Jason. Yes, and I do remember that we had that conversation, but then conversations happened afterwards to say, to be transparent and open, we should look at other vendors because we've had a long-term relationship with one group and we should go out for RFP. So that was how it went. Julie?
And I would like to remind the committee members that that day in that meeting, I asked Jason what the approximate cost would be for his company. If we just let his company do it, don't go up for an RFP, what would the approximate cost be? He said he did not know. He couldn't give me any approximate call, not a minimum, not a maximum, didn't know. And for that reason, given that we had no guidelines there, I mean, is it 300,000? Is it 150,000? Is it 30,000? No information. Anybody who runs a business is going to say, well, I need to get more feedback. And that's why the committee went forward. The only logical way to do this is to get an RFP and get multiple, give the public opportunities
She's just looking at you.
Opportunities.
She can look at you.
to present a proposal. It's full transparency for the taxpayer and it's good government. There was no other intent.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to put next on. I don't remember who, or that's you, Meta?
No, I'm sorry. I accidentally bumped that back up.
Okay. Next on, Jackie.
I've been a business owner and I definitely want to see our county follow good business practices where it makes sense. However, you can't ask somebody how much something costs if you don't tell them what the something is. We had not written the scope of work. You can't put a vendor on the spot and say, how much does this cost? When you're not even telling the vendor what this is. I mean, there's just not a possibility of doing that in my mind. If I ask you how much a washing machine is and your idea of a washing machine is a washboard and my idea is a stackable apartment unit, we're going to have two different ideas of cost. And you have to have a scope of work. So if anything, the error was on our part in asking him prematurely without giving him an actual scope of work.
So actually, the error wasn't on our part. County board voted to go out to RFP in March. The resolution was signed by the county executive and returned in April. There had been no action on it by the county executive from that time in April going forward. Other conversations were had. But the county board didn't change their mind. And even whatever, regardless of what the capitals committee tried to do, looked at doing, talked about the doing, and conversation I had in a meeting with Meta and Jason from White and Company, that's one thing. But I don't make the decisions. Meta doesn't make the decisions. The decision was made by the board in March. There's been an absence of work on that. Mike and I talked for a long time. What do we want the RFP to include? We went over that. And so that should have been done. So we're at the point now that I just asked for that. Mike gave us the information
and-
that he's going to go out,
Can I just chime in
refine
on
it.
that, Chair, for a second?
Sure.
I respect the board did pass that in March or April, but there is funding that needs to go with these things. And so that's what we were trying to work out. Then the committee comes in, votes to rescind the RFP, go with White, changes. That being said, we're planning on moving forward in about 30 days on this. We just have to work with the state's attorney's office due to the amount of confusion on this RFP. It will be an RFQ, but I want to make sure that everything is buttoned up properly for the county.
I appreciate that, Mike. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I look forward to hearing that. And as soon as you have some information, like all the other stuff, just send it to Kim and then she can disperse it. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the information today. Okay, moving from other old business. We go to new business. I don't have any new business. Next, we have committee assignments. Do we have to make any changes, additions, or anything like that? Okay, we're not holding a spot for anything. And this is one of the few moments that I see that we have this meeting before all the other meetings, which is kind of nice. It just with this calendar schedule, it doesn't really work out that we can always do that, something to consider, but okay. So Joe, you had something, got your mic on. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring this up for Public Works and Transportation Committee. There was a question asked of me earlier, and I actually had to reach out to Mr. Ronaldson to get the answer, which I should have known. There are two items on our agenda that concerned with overlay projects for the townships. Just a quick reminder for all of us that the county does not pay for overlay on the township roads. The townships themselves actually own the MFT funds from the state, I believe from the state of Illinois. They just need permission from the county engineer and our committee in order to spend those funds. So some of those items might be a little confusing, but we're not paying for township road overlays.
Right.
So that's coming up Tuesday. Just want to make just a quick reminder. Thank you.
I appreciate that because it is a little bit confusing at times. It can be. Anyone else? Steve?
For Joe's committee, I asked that we have on the agenda a discussion of moving forward on coming up with a way to notify the public in a proper manner. Jim Richmond came up with a plan that was on paper, and I suggested that it had to be going in a mile radius of wherever the project was. And we had to do it every year or every 2 years to keep all the people informed so we don't have problems like we had on 143rd Street ever again. And I don't see it on the agenda.
So it's not on the agenda yet, but it will be added for next week because that is something you guys talked about several months ago. We went back through the agendas and learned that that was not brought forward. It should have been. You guys talked about it. You guys need to have a real discussion about it and then make a decision if you're going to change the way that notification is done or you're not. Jim, go ahead.
And I think that's, I'll call it for lack of a better term, spreadsheet project management type thing. I think it was well received by us. Now it's just a matter of how do we tweak it so that this way everybody in every district can easily pull up without having to try and look through reports or that to try and come up with, hey, this is what's going on. Sometimes you get phone calls and it's, borderline your district. You don't know that. I think, Joe, you and I agreed that this is probably a pretty good, call it cheat sheet
Mhm.
for us to be able to know what's going on. And we all talk from the same page, same sheet of music of that without trying to look up a report that you could be looking at the wrong report or outdated. So that's all.
Yeah, and both gentlemen are correct. There has been discussion at our transportation committee for several months. And have not really seen an official document, and I don't know who was taking the lead on that, but once that official document is ready and discuss with Mr. Ronaldson, I'm sure we'd be more than happy to put it on the agenda and have a vote. It doesn't prevent anyone from talking about moving forward. So, yeah, as soon as it's ready to go, let's have a discussion and have a vote on how we want to proceed, and we'll bring it to the full board.
Yeah,
So
so,
maybe is it all right to talk?
yeah.
Is it all right to address Joe? Is it, you do it?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, I just want to make, okay, so Joe, we could probably at least have Jeff, I think he's got enough time to just at least kind of give us a peek at it again and see where they're at. Does that sound fair to them?
But go ahead, Kim has something to.
I was
to
just
talk
going to
about.
say, there was a document created by Mr. Ronaldson based on the information that was received from Mr. Richmond that was initially sent out for review to the committee members. I don't know that there's been any feedback or any additional changes before he moves on to the 2030 and the 2040 plan, adding them to that document.
Yeah.
That was his request. It was done back, I think, in April
Yeah,
Yeah.
by
I
him.
think he was going to do some additions to it or,
So
Put
that's
some more
why
meat
we're
on the
bringing
bone.
it up again because,
Okay.
yeah.
well, maybe
Okay.
Joe, you're the chair.
Yeah, is there a request to have it on this month's agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to put that item, save room on our agenda for that item.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Except it is
Except it is amended, yeah, we don't. We can always add at this point because we're so early on. Did you have
Yeah,
anything else?
no, and I mean, this was just like a first blush at this. I mean, we can add more columns or, more detail, trying to keep it as simple as possible, but also as informative as possible. So this way we can always just look at it and,
And when we review it on Tuesday, you guys may just move it on till the next month because you may not be complete.
yeah, I mean,
Might wanna have a review or some changes made and then bring it back.
yeah, I'm not saying I had all the answers. I mean, being relatively new, I mean, Joe added some good stuff in that. So I think we're working on, it's a collaborative effort is what it is. So.
But I think here's the thing, with road projects, you're never gonna have everybody be happy, because anybody who's impacted, they're not gonna like it. Mine, it was just an overlay, they redid my road in front of my house, and, none of us were happy because they raised the road so high, but you have to fix the road, right?
Mhm.
So we weren't happy, but that's the way it goes, and people are less happy if they have to take some easement for property to do widening at intersections and such like that, because it's your property. So we're always gonna have residents that are not happy with any road project that you do. That's just how it works. So ours is to least to be able to say, listen, we have given the public more notice than we had in the past. Everyone seems to be in favor of that idea. And sometimes road project like 143rd might just happen anyway, but we've given them enough information. So granted, from 143rd to when it started, that wasn't happening. But from this moment forward, when your Public Works Committee, Joe, decides this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna do it moving forward, we can say, we heard you guys on 143rd. We are doing the best we can to change that process to make it so you are more informed. And then because of that, then we would have put it out there. And that's the best that we can do. But road projects do have to get done for the safety of the residents. Could you turn in the mic off, please?
I had a
It was me. I did it. Do you mind one second?
Yeah,
Wait,
do you have something?
Jim
else?
Yeah, let me just, do you mind? Yeah,
Go ahead, Jim.
I just think that it was an idea. Joe and I talked about it, and I think what this could be is now when we put our website out there, this could be something that could be easily consumed by the citizens and the residents. And that's really what we were shooting for. So, sorry, Steve.
Yeah, I have a problem going on 143rd Street. The court case, the county withdrew their dismissal on July 25th. And now the case is with the same judge now, and it'll be September 12th.
But can you
But-
hang on till we get through this? And
Well, this is the question I got. Do I talk about that here, or do I wait till it says attorney opinions for quick take? About
So-
quick take?
I don't think that has anything to do with this meeting agenda
'Cause I
at
thought
all.
we voted one time not to do quick take on that road until the case was heard.
I don't think so.
We didn't?
Remember, no, we didn't.
Okay, so then I'll have to get that added next month to the.
But that's not part of this agenda though, Steve.
No,
so-
that's why I was asking. I didn't
Okay.
know if it went now, later, or
It is
next
not,
month.
it's not right now at all.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything for their agendas? Okay, thank you. Moving forward. Other new business, there isn't any that I'm aware of. Request for state's attorney, we're in a pending situation for all of those situations. So if I could get a motion to accept the committee assignments as amended. Motion Mueller, second Pretzel. Go right ahead. She's gonna do a roll call, because we have to add people. Wait,
Ballage and Katie Dean Schlattman.
okay.
Parker,
Yes.
Ballage,
Yes.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Dean Schlattman,
Yes.
Freeman, Mueller,
Yes.
Pretzel,
Yes.
Richmond, Trinier, Van Dyne,
Yes.
Williams, Ogala,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you. That takes us to our next item is public comments. Do we have any public comments? County board comments, anything? Anything online? Nobody online? Nobody found this exciting today, so they weren't online. All right, moving on to chairman reports and announcements. The only thing I said was I appreciate the great work that our maintenance department did for repainting our room. I know some people didn't notice it. But I think it looks nice. It needed a refresher, so hopefully everybody likes it. Yeah, thank you for that. And
I noticed it.
I love the way it blends with the blue, so But I wish we could get nice gray carpeting like the executive's office got, but this carpeting is still nice. So I thought that was an expense we should not do. But thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. Next, we'll be putting some the old stuff back on the walls. So next executive session, Mary. She just sat there quietly all day. Could I get a motion to adjourn? Motion Frankie, second Mueller, all in favor while we're adjourned. Aye. Next meeting's August 8th. Thank you. See you there. That was a fast one.